Good evening. Hi, I'm Rufus Carpenter with Reset to Healthy Relationships. I am the course manager, and today we're here to have our discussion on Reset to Healthy Relationships open discussion. And tonight we have an interesting topic. Our topic is one that really needs to be discussed and discussed in great detail. The topic for the night is the impact of holding on to resentment. I know a lot of you saying, well, wait a minute now, holding on to resentment. Why would I even hold on to resentment? Good question. When you hold on to resentment, it's like carrying a heavy weight on your shoulders and on your back. And if you go through life with carrying resentment, it really has a burden effect on you. And not only do it affects your life, but it affects the relationships you have in life. So when you realize that you're harboring resentment, grudges, or anything of that effect, it really affects your life. And we're here tonight. We're going to have a 20 to 30-minute discussion on it. And we want this discussion to be where once you see this or become a part of this, we want you to add your comments as well. When I first talk about discussions, and also with me tonight, my head coach, Coach Glenda. She would be a part of the discussion, and she will bring in some valuable points and tips as we go through. I'll start it off, and she'll jump in and let you know her points of views of that. But I want to start off first with if you hold on to resentment or grudges, it it actually add a lot of excess baggage, emotional baggage. How do you feel? How do you carry this? Your moods, the grudges, the day-to-day experiences. These are the things that will really affect you and affect how you operate and carry yourself. No one wants to see a person that has like a chip on their shoulder or not pleasant because their mood is foul and they're always wondering what somebody going to do to them or how somebody got over on them or how they're going to get back on with somebody. Glenda, I'm doing a lot of talking, so let's hear your thoughts because you give me that look. What are your thoughts on that?
Hello, you guys. I'm Coach Glenda, and when the topic was chosen for today's discussion, I had to do a little bit of research because I wanted to not just give you a story. I wanted to at least give you, some valid points that you could possibly research on your own. So I went to the Bible. Okay, I'm not a big time religious person, and I don't hold a title in the church, but I did go to the Bible and I did a little bit of research on resentment. And if you go to the King James Version states in Job 5:2, it says, "For wrath killeth the foolish man, and envy slayeth the silly one." And 2 Timothy 2:24, it says, "And the servant of the Lord must not strive to be gentle unto all men, apt to teach patient." All right, so the breakdown version, because some of us is like, oh my gosh, what does that mean? So instead of you going to get your reference to break it down, I did a little more research for us. Resentment can be very real part of life. Yet the Bible warns resentment kills a fool and envy slays the simple. That is Job 5:2. And then in Paul states in 2 Timothy 2:24, he states that the Lord's servant must not be quarrelsome, but must be kind to everyone, able to teach, not resentful. So when I think about resentment, what I think about is not becoming bitter. And I know that for myself, when I was going through my divorce at the time, when I was back in Virginia, before I made the transition to Georgia, my parents would always tell me, don't let this make you bitter. Never, look at men in a different eyesight or feel a certain way, because resentment is very, damaging. It can really mess your mind up, and you'll start playing games within yourself when it comes to resentment, because you're feeling as if you're feeling negative about what happened to you, which I did, and you start to regret regret lowering your boundaries because you let someone in and you feel like you were violated. And then you start feeling less value and you start becoming detached, which I did, and you are hopeless and you want to avoid conflict. So I fed all of those categories, and all of those were all of my signs of resentment. However, even when I was going through, I had a lot of positive role models that were there to help me get through my situation. And they always encouraged me never to be bitter, because I did not want that marriage to be my last marriage. I did not want that relationship to be my last relationship. Even though I felt like I was dealt a bad hand, I accepted what God allowed for me. And I feel like I feel like I changed my mindset and I saw the light at the end of the tunnel. I don't like what's going on right now, but I have to make some adjustments in my life to be able to handle what's going on. So with that being said, I did a little more research because I just wanted to make sure that everybody is aware and people are very familiar with the difference between resentment and being angry. If I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on it, but Mr. Carpenter, you could probably help me. It says something in the Bible in regards to you can be angry, but sin not. Do you recall that verse?
Yeah, well, I guess what it's telling you is, I'm not going to talk about that verse because I'm like you. I don't have an official title in church neither. But what I think what you're getting to, and a lot of what you hit on, is the mental health part of it. The mental health part of it, harboring resentment, really mess with your mental health. So it affects you because, like you said, that bitterness, long-term bitterness, really links to things like stress and anxiety.
Correct.
And it also gives you chronic anger. And that chronic anger would make you a very difficult person to deal with.
Right.
And really, when you're talking about things like sinning and stuff like that, if your mental capacity is not right and you're always in a constant state of high alert and you're always feeling on guard, you're always feeling like you can't be yourself, you can't let your guard down because other people are going to take advantage of you, or you always have to be on the ready. That's a hard way to live. That's really hard. So with that mental health part can really lead to chronic burnout. You can have chronic mental fatigue and just burnout. So when you look at it, that's first thing. And then not only that, but your physical well-being, not just your mental, but your physical well-being is affected because resentment really affects you all over. When you really have that mental burnout, then you get that physical burnout because you're always on alert. You always got to be on watch. You always got to prepare yourself to be able to defend yourself, and that stress and that hypertension and all those things, heart disease, weakening immune system, gastrology problems. These are things that really tear you down. It don't tear the person down that you're mad with or upset with or you're holding a grudge with. It's tearing you down. It's really tearing you down. So you holding a grudge and you're resenting what someone did to you, and they're going on about their life, and you having mental breakdowns, you're bitter, you're stressful, you have high blood pressure, your immune system is down, and especially in this day and time where we still have COVID, you got to realize what you're doing to yourself. And also one of the biggest things about it, and this is where you talk about the Bible part. In the Bible, we were designed to be with people. We were designed to be communities of people and actually be with people. But when you have a resentment and a bitterness, you really stop that connection with others. You don't have that connection because you have a barrier. And that barrier is your resentment. You're holding a grudge, your bitterness. You're not being able to accept people at face value because you're always wondering, how alert. When are they going to try to do something bad to you? Or when you got to watch out for them? That's Glenda, that's too much. That's too much. What are your thoughts, Glenda?
Well, you said a lot. You said a mouthful, Mr. Carpenter, and I mean, you explained it very well. And I just wanted to piggyback a little bit on what you stated, because the causes of resentment, you have jealousy, shame, betrayal, embarrassment, and trauma.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about it, you have incidents where when you're communicating with your partner or the other party, you're sharing your need and then not having them met. You're starting to feel entitled and believing that your needs should have been met.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you look at it another way is when you want your partner or whoever you're with to read your mind. How come they don't know that this is what I want? Well, that's where communication comes in. And when you communicate your boundaries and you communicate what you want and what you don't want, that kind of sets the foundation, because there'll never be any mystery, and it'll avoid the jealousy, the betrayal, and some of the embarrassment, because you won't be blindsided by trying to think that another human being is going to read your mind, or you saying something and the need is not being met. So communication is a big part of feeling feeling angry and resentment. And if you set firm, sound boundaries, and if you communicate within your relationship, a lot of that can be avoided. I really believe that. And I was doing some more research because, like I said, I want to make sure that I don't just talk and give you a story. I want to give you some good information so you can reference and either go back and look it up yourself. I never knew that there were some benefits from resentment.
Really?
And it kind of shocked me doing my research, because I was like, oh, let's read on. Okay, so it helps you protect yourself so you can feel safe. And it helps you from not being hurt again in the future. And this is from a website. Trust me, it is. It shocked me. I said, okay. And then it promotes your own feeling of self-worth. And these are benefits of it, because I guess what they're trying to say that is, once you've gone through the experience of feeling resentment and angry, it kind of like puts you in a different frame of mind, and you don't never want to experience that again. I know that I never did, and I never wanted to be bitter, regardless of whatever I go through, whether it's with a relationship or a friendship, or even with my jobs. I don't want to feel resentment, because while everybody else is sleeping at night, you're tossing and turning, thinking about what happened to you, what they did or did not do to you. So it also makes you aware of events to come, where I know what not to do and I know what to do going forward, because I don't ever want to feel that way again. And sometimes when you put yourself all the way out there, you kind of like, I have to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And I'm gonna give you a prime example. I used to be told years ago in some of my relationships, you don't communicate. I said, I think I do communicate very well. I could never get why men would say I didn't communicate. I said, well, in all honesty, I told you all this. So I had to take record of when I told an individual, a guy that I was in a relationship with, I said, I told you this on this date. I sent you an email on this date. And when I printed the email out, because he was like, you didn't. I printed it out and highlighted it. And his chin hit his chest because he couldn't. I don't know if it was the fact that I took notes, but when I presented to him, he was so shocked. And I said, because I kept telling you, I told you this, but you just ignored what I said. So going forward in future relationships, I let them know right out the gate, I do communicate. And if I tell you one time, I may tell you the second time, but I don't count past two.
Okay.
Right. I don't count past two. We are all adults here. No means no. Actually, when I tell you the first time, but if it takes a second time, that's a red flag for me.
That seemed like that might be another topic.
Hey,
you might extend this to another topic.
But that's okay.
But let me jump in for a minute here, because
go ahead.
Since it's both of us, we all have different views, and since you got your information from a study, I'm not going to bounce on you. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask the audience to comment on that, where you say it's a benefit to you. You gave us a benefit, and you gave us 2 examples of where it's a benefit. And what we ask when you listen to this, would you please give us your feedback on this? Because since it was a study and Glenda was referenced a study, I'm not going to pounce on her with both feet. Because everything I've studied in resentment, it didn't give me any positives for the person that were and nor the person that was having the resentment, and nor the person that the resentment was aimed towards. Did I come up with a positive? So we'd love to hear your comments on that as we go forward. So that's something that we would like to know. And I think you said the benefits of resentment. Right? Wasn't that how you put it, how you pronounced it, Glenda, how you stated it?
Yeah,
I
the benefits
the right question. Okay. And that's what we want. We want the audience to kind of weigh in on that, because this Glenn and I, we do different studies and different comments, and we both have opinions, and nobody's opinion is wrong, but we want to make sure that we let all sides of the issue be discussed. But now, I also want to point out, when you look at our background, your pain points to a bright future and healing journal for women, Glenn and I represent a company called Reset Healthier Relationships. And what we are, a relationship company, and what we do is work with people in relationships, because we feel that everybody's relationship can be better, because all relationships erode over time if you don't put in the work. And what we want to do, we want to be a part of that work for you. We want to give you some tools and some techniques and some things that help your relationship grow and let you love into your best future and best possible life. And that's what we want to do. And that's what this is, a chance for us to do that. And we're going to cover different subjects and different topics as we go on. Our prime time for doing this is going to be every Sunday night. We're going to come on at 9 o'clock. And right now we're doing it through Zoom. And what we ask going forward is that eventually you become a part of this. And not only do we have our points of discussion, but you add your points of discussion too. And we want to grow with this thing, and we want you to be a part of our growth. So we're taking the time to actually invite you to be a part of this. And as we grow and go, we'll have different ways that you can become a part of this, and we'll have different measures for that. But we want to kind of wrap this segment up a little bit. But we got a couple more things we want to discuss about it, because since we are resetting healthier relationships, ours is relationships. And when you do resentment and you put it into relationships, you cut the intimacy out of relationship. If you and your partner, you and your boo, or you and your significant other have a relationship and you bring some resentment there, you hold a grudge towards the person that you love, or you close to, that hurts your intimacy. So that's one of the things that you really got to be aware of, how it affects your intimacy. And also trust in a relationship. If you hold a grudge or resentment or bitter towards me in a relationship with you, I'm going to wonder, can I trust you, or do you trust me? And once the trust is gone in a relationship, it's Katie by the doors. It's over. So these are the things, and this is the reason why we want to make sure that you always on guard and you constantly realize that you have to understand your intimacy and the trust is at stake when you harbor grudges or resentment towards your partner or significant other. So we want to make sure that you understand that. And also, not only that, communication breaks down. Your person don't want to talk to you, don't want to communicate with you no more. And you talking about love languages? If you hold a resentment and you have a grudge and you're bitter towards me, my love language is going to be bye, see you later. So we we want to make sure these are the big things in a relationship: intimacy, trust, and communication. If those big three are damaged or crushed or hurt or impeded in any form or fashion, the relationship is on a downward spiral. So be careful with your resentment. Be careful. Be careful. And anything you want to put in before we go to the next part of this, Glenda, before we start bringing this home?
No, you've done an excellent job.
Okay, the last part we want to talk about this is how it stuns your personal growth, how it puts you in a box, how it gets you where you stop learning and your experiences now have a filter on them. Now you're not letting yourself go. You're you having blinders on because now you don't want to see everything and everybody because now you're resenting and you got yourself on guard, so you don't want to learn from nobody anymore. There could be a person out there that could teach you so much, and your life and your journey could be so much better, but because you're bitter and you have resentment, you close a lot of those relationships off. That stunts your growth. That really stunts your growth. So you got to be aware of that your comfort zone may be that you don't want to be around anybody because you're bitter or have some kind of resentment. But that comfort zone now has made your life smaller, has made your reach smaller, your exposure smaller, your experiences smaller. So that's something very important to look for. So let's start bringing this home, Glenda. Let's go. You want to do a summary or you and me do a summary?
You can do a summary.
Okay. We started by telling you that the impact of holding on to resentment is also bitter. It makes you bitter. It makes you hold a grudge. And we broke it down. First, we talked about the baggage, emotional baggage, and how it affects your moods. And not only affects your mood, but how it affects you mentally and how it also affects you physically. You start having stuff like high blood pressure, hypertension, heart problems, compromised immune system. And we also shared that this time of COVID, you really don't want something that's going to put you in danger, your life in danger. And we also said the barriers to communication and barriers to connection. And we talked about trust. We talked about intimacy, communication, and we just finished talking about stunning your growth. And Glenda brought out that in one of her studies, she said there's some benefit to holding on to resentment. And we asked you as an audience to kind of chime in on that part. We want to hear your thoughts about that. Because like once I said, it wasn't Glenda, it was a study that she referenced, and we want to make sure that you have a chance to answer that. So we've had fun. We've had fun in this series with the impact of holding on to resentment. So Glenda, anything we want to say before we end this for the night?
No, I don't have anything extra to say at this present time.
All right, then once again, we'll reset the healthy relationship. I'm Rufus Carpenter. My co-host is Coach Glenda, and we are well pleased that you were able to join us and be a part of this event. Going forward, we're going to try to come together every Sunday night at 9 o'clock, and we ask that you be a part of it. Become a part of this. We'll make a way for you to actually be a part of the panel, a part of the discussion, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. So until we see you again, be blessed. Good night.